Hey guys, South African Rugby is back. I'm wearing a brand new jersey. All is good in life again. It's a long weekend. Can't wait for this. The kickoff times are next to me here. That's the South African kickoff times. It is going to be broadcasted in the UK as well if you want to check that out and you're maybe a fan from over there. First game up is going to be the Bulls versus the Sharks. Both games are at Loftus Versfeld as we know by now. 26th of September, 25 past 4 is the kickoff time for that first game. So the degrees Celsius will probably drop a little bit by that time, but it's still pretty hot. Clear skies, 29 degrees Celsius. So it's going to be a hot game. Pretty windy, 26 kilometers per hour wind with Rasta being the referee for this one. Rasta likes making the game run and flow a little bit smoothly. So we might see an interesting affair in this one. Going up to the teams, the Sharks and the Bulls tried to be different in this one. The Lions and the Stormers, they actually listed their own teams, the starting and the bench teams. The Bulls and the Sharks, on the other hand, they just listed 30 players that are going to play in this game. So, making my life pretty difficult. I had to kind of figure out who I think will probably start and who's going to bench. So, the teams here next to me, they're not the definite starting team, but if we do look at it, it is quite interesting. Look, remember the Sharks do have their injuries with Fasi, Nkosi, Tambwe, Keren van Vieren, and then Henku and James Venter being injured. So they have a lot of injuries going into this first game of the preseason. And then remember, Mapimpi for them is off to Japan as well, so he is signed over there. He can't play at the moment for the Sharks. Given both teams have signed a lot of players, there's a few injuries, both teams have a lot of red, there's a lot of changes since the last time we did see them. Starting up front, it is Oxenche versus Trevor Nyakane in the scrum. That's going to be a great one as the two Springboks versus each other. Then it's Thomas du Toit versus Jacques van Vieren, or Polisiman they call him. I want to see that one again because Jacques van Vieren, he's getting old. He's a veteran that is coming in for the Bulls as well. Skalk Erasmus, he's coming in for the Bulls from the Stormers against Dylan Richardson. So two young hookers. We do have a little bit of depth problems at the moment in South Africa when it comes to hookers. At the locks, the locking partnership for the Bulls are looking pretty good. Probably one of the best locking partnerships in the country with Jason Jenkins and Sintu Njezi, who came in from the Cheetahs. He's a guy to look out for. I do say he is going to be a Springbok probably next year somewhere. Hiron Andrews and Ruben van Vieren, they weren't half bad themselves in the start of this year in the normal Super Rugby season. And I mean, that line-out was one of the building blocks for the Sharks. They scored a lot of tries from that line-out. In the loose forwards, the Bulls, they do have one of the best loose forward packs at the moment when it comes to depth as well. The starters, Marco van Staden, Arno Botha and Vermeulen, both of them coming into this side, strengthening that side, well, a lot. Vermeulen, we know what he can do. Arno Botha, a very similar player to Vermeulen. Both of them can get over the ball as well, so ruck time might be a little bit of a difficult time for the Sharks, especially with them having a pretty young loose forward pack with Ivan Ruas, Gumede as well. And then Noche, the only actual settled guy in the team. Noche, he was exceptional in the start of the season. I think he will deserve a Springbok call-up if we do head up and do go to Australia with this Rugby Championship. The number 9 position is actually quite strange. The Sharks and the Bulls, they listed 3 number 9s for this game. Ivan van Zyl is the starter for the Bulls, so we can see Jake White's probably going to go with a forward dominant pack and then kick the ball away and let the other team come back at them and then see what he can do from there. For the Sharks, the first player that sprung up was Grant Williams at the number 9 position. Look, it probably should be Nohamba, but I think all of them are going to have the same amount of game time. Cohen Bosch versus Morné Steyn. Great one to see because Morné Steyn wasn't in the best of forms in the start of the year. He was getting old, but his kicking is exceptional. You just can't get over that. His goal kicking just always on point. Cohen Bosch, he's playing against the veteran, and Cohen did say he is sniffing some blood, as you were for a Shark, in the box set up to become the number 10 in the end of this year. going to the Rugby Championship. In the centres, Jeremy Ward replaces Esterhuizen, who did go to the Harlequins. Clinton Swart, he comes in from Japan. He's a big runner with the ball and he has a big boot on him as well. Can slot in the number 10 jersey. Number 13, Stedman Gans, the 7th player. He's going to do things for that team. I do like seeing him run with the ball. He is a playmaker for that side. Up against Lukanya Am, a defensive organizer for that Sharks team. The winger combination for the Sharks, or the back three actually, are completely different, with Miller du Plessis coming in for the Sharks. He comes in from the 7s/CUT. He did captain the CUT side earlier this year. Werner Kok comes in for them as well. They did say he's going to play centre this year, but I think with all the injuries, he's moved there now. Mani Lebok, I want to see how he goes up against his previous team, because Jake White basically told him he's not going to be needed for the Bulls, so he's going to have some revenge there. Cornel Hendricks and then Ismail, both of them are guys that are dangerous out wide. Ismail, he's coming back from overseas. Arendse, who is also a 7-star, I think would probably start in the number 15 jersey. Also a guy with a big playmaking style play, not a big kicker of the ball either. Both teams went with a lot of substitutions. Both teams listed 30 players to play, so there's a lot of substitutions, guys that really stand out. Not a lot of them, but I would say Jandre Creer from the Bulls that would come on. Jan Hendrik Wessels that comes on at the prop as well for the Bulls. He's a young guy from Grey College coming from France to play again. Tim Agaba, Miller Ace and Nizam Kar, powerhouses to bring on in your loose trio. Then Papier as well coming in. Hugh Aplon, I want to see how he plays as well. I mean, I'm a Stormers fan. I love seeing him perform. The Sharks lack a little bit of power on the bench. I think Nohamba will probably be there, but they do have a lot of scrum halves, I did say. Marius Lowe was good in the start of this year. JP Peterson is actually listed to play for them as well. Other than that, I do think the Bulls team do look a little bit better. I do think the Sharks are a little bit of more of a unit at the moment, but the Bulls had a lot of time to play together as well. The Sharks, they do have a pretty disrupted team as well. So, to me, being at altitude, being at home, I think the Bulls could win this one. Yes, I did say that. The Sharks are probably favourites to win this whole competition. But with the Superfan Saturday, I would say the Bulls to win it by 5 points. Getting into the second game, it is the Lions versus the Stormers, also at Loftus Versfeld, so the Lions probably have a little bit of an upper hand there. The game is just before 7 in South Africa, clear skies, 24 degrees Celsius, so the temperatures did drop a little bit then by that time. The wind, not so bad, and then Marius van der Westhuizen being the referee for that one. The two teams did actually list their starting teams and their benches, so that does make my life a lot easier. Going with the front rows, the Stormers do have the upper hand with Kitshoff, Ntubeni and Malherbe. The Lions scrum, they did struggle in the start of this year, but they had a lot of time now to prep as well. Well, as a unit, probably not. Second rowers as well, I would say the Stormers do have the upper hand with Salman Murat and Schikkeling. Ori and Ruben Skuman have been good as well. But then we get to the loose forwards where Jaco Kriel comes back for the Lions. I'm glad to see him back. He had an injury in the start of the year after he made his move from Gloucester. Then we have Chatuka as well. I think he's a guy that will be a Springbok one day. And Diamane, he's going to be a Springbok as well. We have Kulisi, who's back from his injury as the captain for the Stormers. How he fares being off for a long time, we wonder how that will go. Ernst van Ryn at number 7. Being in for Pieter-Steph du Toit, who is still out with his injury. He's probably going to be out for another month or so. Jono Augustus, he's a guy to look out for. Him and Noche were the two number 8s that really stood out in the start of this year. With Vermeulen back in the picture again, we're probably going to see a fight between these other number 8s. Who's going to be the second number 8 for the Springboks, or who's going to go to the Rugby Challenge in Australia. Getting to the back lines, Herschel Yankees versus Andre Warner. Herschel Yankees, exceptional form in the start of the year. Damian Willemse versus Yankees as well. That's going to be great. It's two Springboks heading up against each other. And Willemse, he has kind of fallen out of favour a little bit with Bosch probably being in better form. Yankees is going to be the number 10 now to replace Pollard. So Willemse is the guy to step up and gain that position back again. In the centers, Birger Odendaal, he made the move over the Jukskei to be the number 12 of the Lions. Now he's going up against youngster Rikus Pretorius, who replaces Jamie Roberts, who has moved back to Wales again. Dan du Plessis versus Similane, two young number 13s who everyone has a lot of promise or talks up as promising Springboks in the future, so that's going to be interesting to see how they do go up against each other. Out wide is an interesting battle with Skosan and Zas being up against each other. Sanatla and Makwane, who moved from the Cheetahs, he is a guy to look out for. I can't wait to see how he does for the Lions outfit. And then Divan Rousseau also playing for the Lions now, with Galant moving from the Bulls to the Stormers. So two Bulls fullbacks now playing for two different teams over there. I would like to see how Galant slots into that back line, especially with Damian Willemse. I do think they do have an upper hand there with the back line as well. With the benches, the guys to look out for, the Stormers do have Bongi Mbonambi, they have Chris van Zyl, Tim Swiel, who has moved back to the Stormers again. They also have Angelo Davids, the 7-star, and then Dylan Lades' little brother Tristan Lades is there in number 26. They do have less players listed for the game. Then we have Sadi, who played for the Stormers, but he's basically been by the Lions for a long time now. Dan Kriel as well, and Ewe Viljoen, two ex-Stormers centers. We'll see how they do play against their previous team. If I do look at the two teams, I would say the Stormers do have the upper hand in this game. Altitude is a big factor though, because it is a start of the season, pre-season game. So the Lions have been prepping there the whole time, but it is a good thing for the Stormers to regain their fitness again. I do think they'll probably struggle a little bit, but at the end of the day, I do think the Stormers team is stronger. I don't want to be biased, but I'm very excited for this week's rugby. So I'd say the Stormers by 3 points, but it could go either way. The Lions do have a knack of surprising teams in these preseason games. Guys, let me know your predictions for this games down in the comments below. Also tell me which game is the most exciting one for you. Tell me what you think of this season's rugby ahead, and then check out these videos next to me. Cheers.